Hey guys, welcome back. So if you're learning automation or breaking into tech, join our free school community, your tech step. I drop extra content, tools, and support that you won't get on YouTube. It's free for now while we grow. So hop in while you can, links in the description. So okay, today we're going to automate IMDb login page. So let's go to IMDb and let's go to their login page. So let's go to their website and let's look for sign in. And we'll sign in with IMDb. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So let's inspect. Okay, so we have, let's zoom in a bit. So I already like the selectors that I'm seeing. We have an input, we have the type. Okay, so ID, AP email, this likely is not going to change. So this would be my first choice. Another good option is name. So we have two really strong options. Both of these would work. So let's see. And as far as the class name, so a-input-text. So this is probably shared. We don't want to use that one. And guys, just as a reminder, if there's a space in between the class names, they're separate classes. So this is really 1, 2, 3, 4 classes that we see in here. All right, let's take a look at our password. Input types password, AP password. Okay, so we could use name again. Sign in. Let's look at our sign in button. Sign in, submit. That's very nice. Okay, this is going to be an easy one, guys. Now, okay, this ID. You see how this ID that that threw me off for a second because this ID, I saw two of them, but really this ID is associated with this span. So this ID is the identification for this span element. So we only care about the input. You see how it's in the same angle bracket? Okay. So now in C# or .NET, let's create our page object that represents this screen. So let's go to our solution. Now I'm going to take our variable page, which I did update our variable page. So I'm going to copy this page here. Let me zoom in a bit. We're going to change the name of this to IMDb sign in page. I'm calling it sign in instead of login because it says sign in here, and the button. So you want to name it with respect to how they do their naming. That's what I like to do. So okay, so let's change our class name and our constructor. So now we have a lot to choose from. We have two to choose from. We can do ID or name. So we'll just do ID first. ID, you usually want to go with ID first. Now, if this had some strange characters in it, then I would definitely move to password or to name. So so we'll grab that ID. Now, this is our whole class. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick the elements, the selector types that I want to keep. So I want to keep this one. So we're going to use by ID. So I will get rid of the rest of these. Don't need them. We only need ID because that's what we've decided to keep. So I'm going to duplicate this a few times. Bear with me, guys. Okay, so I'm going to change these to be email by, so I'll call it input by. I'll put that here. I'll change this to say email element. I'll do the same thing. Call this one password and then sign in button. So password input by, and we need to put that in here, and we'll change this one to password input element. Now you guys don't always have to put the type in the name. I'm just doing that to really help with anybody new trying to understand this. So sign in button element, and then sign in button by. Okay, so now we need to update our actual IDs. So again, we're going to grab, you know what? Also, do you see that text box that comes up? You see that text box? It says background, padding, accessibility, name, role, keyboard, focusable. But at the top left corner, it says input. So that's our tag. Now, do you see the pound sign, number sign, octothorpe, hashtag, whatever you want to call it, but you see that sign, that symbol? That means that it's an ID. And then you see the dot between the L and the A. It's hard to zoom in, but that dot means that that begins a class name. So a quick way to find an ID is just to inspect and then read the text or the string between the pound symbol and the period. The period begins a class name. The hashtag begins a ID. So I know that the ID for this attribute, I know the ID attribute for this element is AP underscore email. So we can just write in here, we can write AP underscore email, and then same thing with the password. It should be AP underscore password, but let's just double check. AP underscore password. Okay, so we'll do AP. I almost typed out underscore. That's kind of funny. AP underscore password. Excuse me. And then finally, we want our our sign in button. And that is just sign in submit. So that's our ID. So lowercase sign, it's case sensitive, in submit. So now let's just double check these. Okay, AP email, AP password underscore, and then sign in submit. Capital I, capital S. Okay. So now let's go to our methods, or our method. So we want to enter our email and password. So let's go to our method, our login method. So we are going to wait until email input by is found. We are going to send keys to the actual element of the input field. So if you're wondering why we're doing this pair, the reason why we're doing the pair is because we wait for the by and then we perform actions on the element. So there's other methods that are available to us if the object type is a iWeb element compared to a by. So like the expected conditions class for all of our wait utilities will take an argument for the by selector type. So that's That's why we can get into that, but for now. So I'm going to change this to, okay, so this is username. This is going to receive the string of username. And if the password is not null or empty, then we're going to pass this in, which is fine. That means that this will work as well if the login page did not have a password field. So we can, again, if you want more about this, I can explain it. But for now, we are just going to enter our password input by, and then our password input element. And that's going to send the password. Now, finally, we want to click the submit button. But in this case, it is the sign in button. So we'll wait until the sign in button is visible. And then we will click the sign in button element. Okay, so if there were additional steps, they would go there, but this is our page class. Now let's create the test. So let's go to our Solution Explorer. Let's go to example test. I'm going to duplicate example test. And we want to pull in our page class. So we want to pull in, let's see, IMDb sign in page, and we'll just call this IMDb sign in page. Now we want to be sure we create an instance of the object. So we want sign in page equal to a new sign in page, and we'll give that a driver. So we do need to change the class's name. Hold on a second. So we'll change this to, oh man, excuse me, I changed the wrong thing. Hold on, let me delete this. This is the example test. I don't want to change the example test. Okay, there we go. This one. So let's change this name to DB sign in test. There we go. Now the class name has to be unique. That's why this one was complaining, because it doesn't know which class, because there's already a definition that's contained for it. So your class names always have to be unique. Okay, so let's close this example test, and we'll name this as such. There we go. So now all we need is sign in page. Sign in page. Okay, now we create our instance of the object. So IMDb sign in page is equal to new IMDb sign in page, and we are going to pass in the driver. Okay, so now we want to give our test a meaningful name. So sign in to IMDb. Okay, we'll just call it that. Test. Okay, and we're going to need to replace our your tech step school about with a different URL. So I'm just going to copy this URL right here. I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it here. Yeah, we could do something with wrapping the text, but just make sure that it's within the double quotes and you have the semicolon at the end. Okay, so this should navigate. Now we're going to use, we're going to get rid of this method here. We want to use the method that is on the base page. So the IMDb sign-in page is extending from the parent class, and that gives us access to this navigation method. So we want to use that. So we'll use this. And then finally, we want to do IMDb sign-in page with the login method. And we need to pass in our username and then our password. So we'll just call this username at com. This will be password fake at your.com. Don't forget your semicolon. Okay, and then we want to pass both of these. So we'll say username and password. Okay, so now let's add a thread.sleep, a temporary one, just so we can see what's going on. Okay, so now we just right-click test and click run. Let's give that a minute. Let me open the Test Explorer. Oh, perfect. Excellent. Excellent. And our test is successful. Awesome, guys. I'll see you in the next one.